Arkadaşlar hoş geldiniz. Yine bir webinar serisine daha birlikte olacağız. Bugün yine 1 saatlik bir süremiz olacak. Academix'in sunduğu webinar serisinin 5. günündeyiz. Süre zarfında öğrencilerimize belirlediğimiz okullarla alakalı tanıtımlar yapıyoruz okul yetkilileriyle birlikte. Bu sunumların kimisi İngilizce oluyor, kimisi Türkçe oluyor. Bugünkü sunum da İngilizce olacak ama her sunumda söylediğim gibi sormak istediğiniz sorular olursa etkinliğin sonlarına doğru bir QA soru-cevap kısmında ya da sunum esnasında da direkt olarak Türkçe ya da İngilizce sorabilirsiniz. Bazılarınızın isimleri anonim olabiliyor. Telefon cihazıyla bağlananlar olursa onlara özelden ulaşıp isim soyisim konfirmesi alarak katılımcı listemize işaretleyeceğim. Chat kısmını kontrol etmeni rica edeceğim o yüzden. Bugünkü sunum sonrasında doldurduğunuz formlarda hangi şubeye en yakın olduğunuzu seçmiştiniz. Etkinlik sonrasında zaten size en yakın şubeden bir danışman arkadaşımız sizi arayarak etkinlikle alakalı ya da farklı alternatiflerde Burgundy ile alakalı sorularınız olursa da özel olarak direkt danışmanımızla da irtibat kurabileceksiniz. Academix'ten bahsetmem gerekirse ekranda da göreceğiniz üzere 1996 yılında kurulan eski bir firmayız. Sene içerisinde ortalama 3000 civarında öğrenciyi yurt dışına gönderiyoruz. 300'den fazla anlaşmalı okulumuz var. 30'dan fazla ülkede çalışıyoruz. Türkiye genelinde 14, Azerbaycan'da 1 olmak üzere toplam 15 şubemiz var. Ekibimiz oldukça kalabalık. Ekranda 60 görüyorsunuz ama şu an muhtemelen 70'in üzerinde bir ekibimiz var Türkiye'deki 14 şubemizden. Ödüllü bir acentayız. Sektörün Oscar'ı olarak addedebileceğimiz Star Awards'u son 3 senedir kazanan, hatta bu sene de finale kalmış bir acentayız. Doğu Avrupa'nın Star Acentası olarak addedildik. Umarım bu sene de başarımızı devam ettirme şansımız olacak. En iyi fiyat garantisini ücretsiz bir danışmanlık çerçevesinde sunuyoruz. Genellikle de çok fazla partnerimiz olduğu için öğrencilerimizin bizimle yaptıkları işlemlerde herhangi bir ekstra ücret almıyoruz. Ücretsiz bir akademik danışmanlık ve akabinde de ücretsiz bir vize danışmanlığı sunmuş oluyoruz. Bahsettiğim gibi 14 tane şubemiz var Türkiye'de. Bunlardan 6 tanesi İstanbul'da, 3 tanesi Avrupa yakasında, 3 tanesi Anadolu yakasında olmak üzere. Bunun dışında Ankara, İzmir, Bursa, Antalya gibi büyük şehirlerde de bizleri bulabilirsiniz. Keza bunun dışında Çorlu, Gaziantep, Kayseri'de de şubemiz mevcuttur. Program portfolyomuz geniş. Açıkçası Work and Travel haricinde bütün programları yaptığımızı söyleyebilirim. Bunlar dil okulları, yaz okulları, lise değişim programları, 0. yıl adını verdiğimiz Türkiye'de yurt dışı ile alakalı eğitim sistemi farkından oluşan yılı kapatmaya yönelik program olan Foundation programlarını sağlıyoruz. Yurt dışında üniversite, master, MBA, sertifika ve diploma programları, kredi saydırabileceğiniz summer session programları, sınav hazırlık kursları ve vize danışmanlığı hizmetini 1996'dan beri sağlayan bir firmayız. Seminerin başında da bahsetmiştim. Bugün 5. gün olduğunu söylemiştim size. Bugüne kadar pazartesi itibariyle İtalya'dan, Almanya'dan okullar ağırladık. Bugün Fransa'dan Burgundy School of Business'ın bizimle birlikte olacak. Michelangelo ve Camille okul yetkilileri olarak aklınıza gelebilecek bütün soruları bizimle paylaşmış olacak. Keza Michelangelo bizim eskiden beri İtalya'daki farklı bir üniversiteden tanıdığımız çok eski bir partnerimiz. Bu anlamda kendisi de oldukça deneyimli birisi. Deneyimlerinden faydalanacağız bugün oldukça. Ben bir esnada da katılımcıları kabul etmeye devam ediyorum. Bugünkü etkinlik sonrasında önümüzdeki haftada etkinliklerimiz var. Önümüzdeki haftaki etkinlikler aslında bu haftaki etkinlikler birazcık İngilizce ağırlıklı oldu ama diğer haftaki etkinlikler birazcık daha Türkçe ağırlıklı olacak. Keza göreceğiniz üzere sadece 8 Temmuz Çarşamba günü yapılacak sunum İngilizce. Onun dışındakilerin hepsi Türk temsilcisi bulunan okullar olan okullarımız olacak. Pazartesi İrlanda'dan bir okul olan Griffith College bizimle birlikte olacak. Salı günü keza Kanada'dan bir okulu ağırlayacağız. Çarşamba günü İtalya, Perşembe günü Amerika'daki bir lise olan Cass Academy Boston. Cuma günü de Kanada'da bir devlet koleji olan Seminerde College yetkisi bizimle birlikte olacak. Bahsettiğim gibi bizimle iletişim kurmak istiyorsanız web sitemizdeki iletişim adreslerini kullanabilirsiniz. Bütün şubelerimizin adreslerini, telefonlarını, danışmanlarımızın e-maillerini ya da kontak bilgilerini bulabileceğiniz linkler mevcut. Dediğim gibi etkinlik sonrasında da size zaten bireysel olarak ulaşacağız. Tekrar hatırlatmak istiyorum. Sunum esnasında chatten eğer kullanıcı bilgileriniz, isimleriniz görünmüyorsa, kimisinde Huawei yazıyor, kimisinde farklı nickler yazabiliyor. O kişilerden de kullanıcı bilgilerini teyit etmek için özelden ulaşacağım. Dilerseniz okul kısmına geçebiliriz. Camille, I think I just finished my turn and I'm just passing to you my turn. So you can start, please.
First of all, welcome everybody. So my name is Michelangelo Balicco, and I'm the head of the International Development Department here at Burgundy School of Business. I just moved from Italy to France recently, in the middle of the COVID-19, so it was such an experience, but I'm very happy to be here. Next to me, we have Camille.
Okay, so nice to meet you all, guys. We are very happy to be here, and we are very thankful to Academix, which is our trusted partner in Turkey so far, to organize this webinar. So my name is Camille, and I will be maybe the person to present you all the programs, and I also can talk about my experience at BSB as an alumni, because I followed the undergraduate and the MSc program we are presenting to you today.
I really hope this is going to be my last webinar, and next time I will be able to meet all of you in person in Istanbul, Ankara, or Izmir, because I really miss Turkey a lot. I miss the culture, I miss the people, and I miss my friends. I miss my friends because Academix is even more than a partner to me, but it's a group of bright people that are doing everything possible to give an opportunity to Turkish students to study abroad in a very, let's say, ethical way. We have been working together for the past, I would say, 15 years, which doesn't make me any younger, but it's true. I mean, it's always been a pleasure to me to spend time in Turkey. So today we would like to give you like a little bit of a further information about what's happening in France right now. Because I mean, everything is changing when it comes to the higher education system, and then of course like focusing on Burgundy as a region and Dijon as a city, and then explain what we can offer to you. We would like to squeeze everything probably in 20-25 minutes and leave you the time to ask us questions. Because we know that webinar can be like very boring, so we don't want to, to keep you like too much time connected on this webinar, and really give you like the right information. So first, the first question I would like to ask is why France? Of course, nowadays, so I think you are in a fantastic position because you will have the opportunity to study in many different countries. So let's not consider COVID-19, but we would like to also address this issue. But France is becoming like a very key player when it comes to to an education to study your programs outside Turkey. Why? Because probably if you consider France 10 years ago, in France you didn't even have like a program taught in English. Yeah. French at the time was like very conservative. So on est français, we are French, we just speak French and we don't want to speak English. In fact, probably 10 years ago, there was not many French people able to, to speak, let's say, a fluent French. But luckily, Camille generation came and they changed a little bit like the rule of the game. And now France is probably the no English speaking country with the largest number of programs taught in English. Yeah. And it's not only like changing the language, but there is really like a strategy coming from the Ministry of Education. And if you can Google it, France Ministry of Education, internationalizations, so you can do your own research. But you will see that there is like a proper strategy at the very top level to increase the number of international students in France. And this is why in the last 2-3 years, like business schools, universities, they've been proactively promote their educational offer in English. And it's not only a matter of promotions, it's also a matter of organizing a quality education and understanding the extra value that international students can bring to the society, and of course also working in terms of placement. And this is something that now in France is very clear. And then the question is why France and not another country? Of course you can find like top educations, I would say, of course, in Turkey, because you have like fantastic universities. But if you want to, of course, to go abroad to differentiate a little bit from the crowd and to differentiate your curricula and being a little bit more attractive when you look for a job. So you can go on the English-speaking countries or the non-English-speaking countries. That's already like a big decision. So you want to go in the Anglo-Saxon approach or having more in a European approach. Of course, here in France, it's more European approach. But what does it mean, European approach? I'm really saying it's my opinion, because I've been working a long time in Italy and now I'm in France. And what I'm excited about France is really like the freedom that you have in this society. And that's come from an incredible heritage that this country has, you know, because if you consider about like the values, which are like liberté, égalité, fraternité.
Right.
C'est bien ça?
Yeah.
So that's the three values where the French society has built, it's like has built the society actually. And this is reflecting in the day-to-day life. You know, liberté here is really like a free country. Sometimes, honestly, my perception is sometimes it's too much, because you know you see the strikes sometimes coming in the press of France, but that's because like the people are free here, so they're free to express their opinion. So they're free to also going against the government. And this is also something I've noticed, like moving from Italy to France among all my colleagues. So here there's much more, you know, sharing than what I used to be, and it's something I started really appreciating. Then égalité, that's another probably difference between like probably Italy and some other countries to France. Here is really like a very cosmopolitan environment. So whatever, you know, sexuality orientation you have, or whatever religions you belong. So here is it's very open, and it's not always this case in other European or no European countries. And it's also something like I value a lot. And all these values also is in terms of the attention then the French society is giving to its to its citizens. For instance, in France, I mean, the healthcare system is completely free. Whatever is for French people than for international people. So in terms of international students, as soon as you come to France with a student visa, you will automatically have like a free access to probably one of the top healthcare system, which of course is something you won't never need, but it's good to know that, you know, you are going to have this opportunity in case you have like, in case you have some issues. And then fraternité, because France is a very, I mean, strong community. That is something you can feel it, and something I started like appreciating to belong to. So that's like in a few words why, I mean, to me France, the point of difference between France and other Europeans and non-European countries. And of course, when it comes to education, it's been probably one of the best 2-3 countries in terms of higher education systems. And then, so when you make your choice and you say, okay, I feel more, you know, oriented towards like this type of experience rather than go, for instance, to the US, where, I mean, you know, that probably everything is much more speedy, but the attention to the person probably is little bit less comparing what you can find here. So then the other question is, why Burgundy, you know, and Burgundy is not very well known unless you're really into wine, because here is well known worldwide because it's probably the top wine, let's say, hub worldwide. I mean, here you have like the premium wine. So here, when it comes to wine, you can also get to like kind of a luxury experience. I was shocked when I made my first research, but out of the most 50 most expensive bottles worldwide, they are talking about bottles, they are more than 1,000 euros. So they're between 1,000 and 30,000 euros, which is the most expensive wine bottle that you can buy in the market. 40 of these bottles, so I mean probably around 90%, are produced here in Burgundy. So to tell you like the level of quality and they've been able to reach in the wine industry. But Burgundy itself it's a very magic place because it's, of course, it's surrounded by vineyards. It's the capital of wine and gastronomy in France, and is very close by to the most important hubs that you can find in Europe, because we are like an hour and 20 minutes by train from Paris, and another 1 hour and 20 minutes, 30 minutes from Lyon, which are the two most important cities in France. But again, we are like an hour and a half from Switzerland, so it's very strategically located. But you still have like the feeling of being in a city that is 200,000 inhabitants, and Dijon itself has more than 100 buildings that are classified in the UNESCO heritage. It's just a gem, Dijon. You have probably, you can walk probably an hour and a half in the pedestrian streets, surrounded by beautiful buildings. And our campus is right in downtown. So I really believe that Burgundy and Dijon are really a prime location. And you will have the opportunity to really experience France, not stay in very much crowded places and expensive places such as Lyon and Paris, but very, very, very much accessible, and living in a smaller environment, but very, very dynamic. But then Camille can give you much more information because I've been here only for like a month and a half, and Camille probably, how long have you been here in Dijon for?
Well, I'm not, so I don't know if that's a good comparison, but around 20 years now. So I'm quite familiar with the place, yes.
Where are you originally from, by the way?
Sorry?
Where are you originally from?
Oh, I'm from Normandy, the north of France, where the Second World War ended.
Yeah. And so then when it comes to, to BSB, of course I would like to leave the floor to Camille, because Camille is really like the right person to give you like this experience. But so BSB is a very old business school because it's been created 120 years ago. But start from like probably 2013. So they really like changed the speed, and they start not only serving like the local community, but they started serving like the national community and now the international community. When I'm saying they just changed the speed, because it's one of the few business schools together with ESSEC, which is the #1 business school in France, they decided to be more, in a way, private, but they decided to take a step back from the Chamber of Commerce, which are generally, let's say, the public organization that are sponsoring business schools, and they prefer to be more dynamic and more, let's say, independent and in a way marketing oriented, rather than stay a little bit more public and stay more in a comfy zone. And this is something I really like it, and this is reflecting in our dynamics in terms of having programs, many programs taught in English. So we are one of the few business schools that we provide programs at the undergraduate level, at the graduate level, and the postgraduate level. So we have been the first business school differentiating a little bit ourselves in creating within the business school a school of wine and spirits business. We have a fantastic MBA in wine and spirits business. We are now considering to create a hub focused on innovation, where we can work on artificial intelligence. So our position is try to be, we are much, let's say, smaller comparing other business schools in France, where we are like 3,000 students, and we really would like to focus on students' proximity and innovation. So that's the aim. So that's our position. But it's time to leave the word to Camille, because I'm Italian, I'm very chatty, and I can talk for hours. But it's time now to give you like really an overview about what we are and what we can offer to you.
Sure. Well, thank you for this very useful introduction. Maybe before explaining more about the school, I will address the first questions that you might have about COVID and the current situation in France, because of course it depends on every country. So just to maybe be a little more happy, we all are very comfortable now with the situation, because the whole country is now quite secure. The circulation levels of the disease are very low in France, although Now, of course, all the authorities maintain a high surveillance level because to make sure that there is no comeback and to make sure everyone is safe. So this is the first thing. But just for you to know some elements, all the schools are reopened for children, for students. All the shops and restaurants are open too, and in all cities. So also people, us included, will be able to travel within France and in European countries this summer. So we can say hopefully tourism will also be restarting. So just in case maybe you want to come visit earlier.
So Air France reopened recently, like the first international flights. So of course it's going to take some time. So we all know because we have been all affected about, but this, I would say this very, this very, inconvenient and very bad situation. But really we are finally after like 3 months of, I would say, nightmare, because I also was in Italy and I know also like Turkish people, they suffered a lot because of this, and probably some of you and also myself, we have been touched in different ways. But finally, we are on a very positive, let's say, dynamics. And of course, Dijon, because probably smaller and has been less affected. So people here, I mean, we are still using a mask just to be sure in the building when we are moving from a room to the another, but outside, so you can sit in the terrace, all the restaurants are open, and really the feeling that we are kind of coming back to a normality is there, and we are very happy to share it because it's very positive after like three months that's been very, honestly, very difficult.
Yeah, sure. So I hope, so maybe now that we explained about the country, just to explain about our school. So currently we are in July, so the students are pretty much all of them are in placement. So I will explain that just after a little bit in details. So there are no students currently at the school, which is regular, which is normal. But of course, the school has already taken all measures for social distancing, wearing a mask, disinfecting everything. So everything is safe, not only in the country, but also particularly in the school, which is a good news. So just to maybe show you a little bit more about what is happening and what the school looks like and what we can offer, I will share with you, if that works, I hope, the presentation that we made. Yeah. So this is what our school looks like. This is the main entrance, actually, so that you can maybe see. So yeah, about the weather. So here we have the 4 seasons, which means we are at summertime now. We have fall, spring, but also winter. So
it's exactly like Turkey, yeah? Because
I think it's quite similar.
First time I came to Turkey, I don't know, it was back in 2005. I thought it was like this super warm weather, but then I found like this windy day in November in Istanbul, and you can really get cold. So more or less, I mean, the weather is not that different.
I think it's very continental, classic weather, so it's quite similar, I think.
And it's also classified the climate here as a UNESCO heritage, because they still haven't cracked the equation how, like in this piece of land, which is only like 35 kilometers, you can produce such a good wine, an incredible wine. So, and it's been the case for like 1,000 years now, and UNESCO, they decided to classify like the climate here as a
that's the city with the buildings, the region, and the climate, actually, but also the gastronomy. So don't worry, you'll eat well. Most people know Dijon, maybe, I don't know if that's something in Turkey, but know Dijon because of the mustard. Usually we say Dijon mustard. So this is the little picture that you can find here. And these are some typical places of Dijon and its surroundings. So it's a very typical historic city. I will explain a little bit after that, but that's really like the medium-sized city where you can find everything you want in terms of culture, events, festivals for music or going out and everything, but not getting too distracted from your goal, which is to study. So I think a medium-sized city is better for international people to come and study. And also, as Michelangelo mentioned, in terms of cost, because France is not often seen as a destination for international students to come to, but you have to know that the living costs are much lower than you can find in English-speaking countries like traditional US, UK, Australia. The tuition fees are much higher and the living expenses are much higher. So this is very, I think the value for money you get is very, very reasonable and very good. So yeah, just a little map of France for you to see where Dijon is compared to Paris, because often people quite know how to locate Paris. And yeah, these are some of the pictures we could show you. That's something you mentioned, Selsuk, a little bit earlier, accreditations and rankings, because often it's hard for people. Of course, you probably do not know us, Burgundy School of Business, that's okay. But how can I know that this school is good and not the other one? So you have to know, in France, there are a lot of business schools, 250. So that's a lot. How can I know which one is good, which one is the best for me, which one would be the best fit? In these 250, of course, you have huge business schools, you have small ones, you have the ones who are not recognized. Most of them, like I said, 2/3 are not recognized by the state. So the diplomas you get, you have to be very careful of the quality. We are ranked 50th out of these 250 business schools. So we are quite proud of our positioning. We are not the top 5, we are in the top 15. So that's good. But also an important mention that I want to do here is that we got +5 places in 7 years, which shows you the dynamism that Michelangelo was mentioning earlier, that we really try to improve ourselves on all levels on a daily basis. So this is why we try to get better over the time.
Yeah, so the idea that by the time that you are graduated, probably the school will be among the best 10. So that's why actually I decided to come to Burgundy. But as Camille said, really, I mean, it's very important, the dynamics of a school. Then, yeah. I mean, rankings. I mean, I'm not a big fan of rankings, but I know that it's an element to evaluate the education. But for instance, like Burgundy School of Business, we have double degrees and exchanges program with Sabancı and Bilken and Galatasaray University. Yes. Already to tell which is our positioning. That of course you can decide according to to what fits you better. Then, as you said, Camille, I mean, in the French system is very, very complicated. So yes. I can tell you, because I've been trying to understand this system for the past month. But when it comes to business school, it's a bit more, it's a bit easier. So in France, if you want to study business, and not I'm saying economics, but if you want to study business, or you want to work like in a corporate company as a managing director, or in a sales company in another company, you generally go for business school right after that's the aim. In order to go to the business school, so you have probably, so you do, in France, you generally do 2 years of preparatory classes, and then you apply to the business school that suits you better. And you have like only 38 business schools in France. They have the label and the recognition of Grande École, which means then they are able to provide like the best program in business. And we have the label Grande École, and among the ranking Grande École, we are more or less like 15, as Camille mentioned it to you. The big difference between an international student and a French student, that in general, a French student access to a business school after 2 years of study. And then they study, let's say, a master of 3 years. Is not a master of 3 years, but they call it 1 year of pre-master, master 1, master 2. And international students like you, that you have probably already studied 4 years as an undergraduate, you can come directly to the master 1. Then you will study master 1 and master 2. So talking about graduate programs, and talking about like our flagship program, which is like the Master in Management Grande École.
Sure. Yeah, so of course, and maybe to finish with the rankings, of course, we are in the Financial Times. We are in the top 100 for the past 4 years now, because it's the 4th year now. The new one is coming out, I guess, in a few days. And we have the double accreditation because maybe for international students, I think that's an important thing to see. What accreditations does your school you aim at have? So we have the two international accreditations, so AACSB and EQUAS. So here, maybe to give you a little insight of what our school looks like. Michelangelo mentioned that it was created in 1899, so we celebrated our 120 years anniversary. So that just maybe that's what we wrote, international expertise, but in a brand new campus. So we don't want to appear as an old school, of course, but maybe these years of expertise allowed us to build a better pedagogical approach, for sure. We also wanted, with this new campus that was redesigned 2 years ago, to give the best learning places for the students. So we have, of course, study rooms, we have leisure areas, we have a gym, we have a dance hall, a music studio, because we encourage students to do at least one sports activity and one artistic activity in the school. We also have a cultural center, we have a financial trading room. We have really dedicated places for any passion you can have, which is good to know.
And this is something like, I would say, it really is a point of difference we have comparing like other schools and universities, because generally in Europe you find like university, they have like hundreds of years of history, but the campus look like pretty old, and also like the services in a way. And here is much more like a modern campus in the US. So you have the gym, so the student. I mean, everything has been created and conceived around like students' experience, just for you guys. So instead of probably hundreds of years ago, so they were put in the center like the professors and the academy, and now the new concept is try to to give you like a campus that can serve your needs, and that's the case of the new campus at Burgundy here.
Yeah, and as Michelangelo mentioned, that's something I maybe wanted to stress out is the location. So in France, as I explained, there are a lot of business schools. You have to know that most of them are out of the cities. Which is, I think, of course, I'm biased, but I think it's better to have the campus location in the city, because you have to, as an international student, in addition to French, maybe domestic students, you have to get this city center way of living, like going shopping to maybe buy your groceries midday and so on, going walking. Everything is reachable at walking distance, and we have public transportation, which is electric. So you are in a very safe, very breathable city, very green city. Actually, at least we're trying our best to be. So yeah, that's just to give you the vibe.
Yeah, honestly, me, I'm very happy because I'm experienced that like 5 minutes from here, 5 minutes from the campus. So you have probably one of the oldest market in France. So you can really go to the market and buy your grocery or having your lunch there. And it's really...
And just because you mentioned it, this marketplace was created by Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower, but this person, Gustave Eiffel, is from Dijon. So he created this market area. Also, in addition to the tower. That's just a little insight. So yeah, sorry for interrupting. That's just anecdotic. So of course, we want to give you this international vibe within the whole program you will follow, but also in your daily life at BSB. We have a dedicated team which is here to deliver the best welcoming, of course, and everything is planned to help you with your integration, because you're going to be in the new countries, of course. So integration week, region and city tours, administrative workshops, etc. I won't mention everything, I guess. Michelangelo already mentioned a few of the partner universities we have. Of course, we have some of them in Turkey, but we have all around the world the best partner universities. I think.
The idea is trying to have like partners with universities, they share the same accreditation. Mm-hmm. So. And this is why we tend to have like partners that are at least on their top 10, 15 in their own country. But on top of the ranking, the idea that we really encourage students to to go abroad. So if you come here for like 2 years or for a bachelor, I don't know, 3 years, we tend to give you like the opportunity to go abroad for a semester. And in terms of business school, and the model here is, which is very dynamic, you also will have the opportunities to have lots of contact with like the work and the job environment. I've been working in Italy. I think France is sharing the same problem, that at some point, if you want to start a proper career here, to have, of course, more opportunities, you need to have like a good, I would say, good command of the language. But I honestly, because I've seen how much fast learner are Turkish students in Italy, they were being able to, you know, to speak like a decent Italian after 1 year. I think you won't have any problem with the French, and after 1 or 2 years you will be ready to, you know, to probably enjoy like a position in an international company, or even a French company, probably with like in an international dimension. So, but that's definitely an investment that France is doing, because they realize that probably also the companies and I mean, sorry, Camille, for saying that, but they're sometimes a little bit too Frenchy, and also they understood that in order to compete globally, they need to, let's say, defranchise a little bit, you know, the environment, which means having people with different experience, different nationalities, and bring like this extra value. So that's definitely something that is happening now in France.
Sure. And just maybe to give an example of what we can do to help you with the French language, because that might be something that can be in your mind. We will offer any international student who doesn't speak French, free French classes, so that you can, at least, even if you're a beginner, so that you can learn a little bit of French for your daily life. But of course, I think we didn't mention it, but all our programs are available in English, of course.
Actually, I was going to ask this question at the end of the presentation, but now I guess it's time to ask this. You mentioned that it's very important to speak a bit French to adapt the real life in Dijon, but probably you'll be mentioning, but is there any work opportunities for the international students in Dijon? So how important to learn French in Dijon?
I think in any country you go to, and if you do not speak the language, you might feel a little bit excluded from maybe the conversation people will have and so on. So I would really advise people to go to the French classes we offer, because I think that's a good opportunity. And even for your resume, even if your goal is to come back to Turkey just after the studies to work in your home country, I think it might differentiate you a little bit if you have a good an additional language to your resume. But in a medium, even in a big city in France, I really think if you want to be more comfortable in your daily life, you should really speak French. But I really see that you will be totally, it's an immersion in the French life. So you will be with French students, with French teachers, your friends will be French, and you will learn some French. So of course you will, at the end of 1 year, I'm pretty sure you will understand any kind of conversation, even if it's a complicated language.
I would say that even if we are not like in the 2-3 main cities, let's say the Bourguignons, which are the people living in Burgundy, so they are pretty much familiar with like an international audience, because this region received every year like a pretty huge number of tourists. As I said, because of the wine, but also because of the beauty of the region. And the majority of them are coming from US and UK. Actually, I mean, if you have time, you can, but the history of Burgundy is something very, very interesting, because Burgundy back in the Middle Age was like probably even more important than Paris at some point. And that's why they call it the Duke of Burgundy. And they were linked in Italy with the church, and they're very, very strong lead with the Great Britain. So let's say that the people from the UK, they like to come to Burgundy because in a way, I wouldn't say they feel it at home, but it's probably the region which is much closer to England that you can find in France, which is, I mean, that was back 1,000 years ago, but still, you know, the people from the UK, they feel very comfortable here. But just to say, of course, you can survive, but I fully agree. I mean, this is the big difference if you decide to study in the English-speaking countries or no English-speaking countries. Is, of course, you need to have a little bit of curiosity about the country first, and then the language, and then the culture, and then what's, I mean, that's the decision. If you come to, I mean, you decide to come to study to France, I mean, you need to have this curiosity, you know, if you then want to succeed afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
Are those additional French classes is provided for free of charge, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah, for all the students. And then I think you have a minimum classes you have to attend. And then if you want to take additional, you can take as much as you want. I think the maximum you can take is like 4 or 5 days a week, which is maybe too much. So, but I would advise maybe between 2 or 3 hours a week is already, I think, quite good in addition to the daily life you will have with the interaction.
And then consider that, I mean, probably within Europe, but probably France, probably globally, is the country that gives back in terms of like social services, like the highest service in the world. So the idea here, you pay a little bit higher taxes comparing, I wouldn't say compare Italy, because it's probably Italy, you pay more taxes than here. But in terms of services, really they give you back a lot. For instance, if you are an international student, you come and you look for an accommodation, or here you can apply for a support in your accommodation, and you get it, and it's around like 100 euros per month. But it's 100 euros per
150.
Exactly, 150 euros per month that you have as a student, whatever is French and international, as a support, you know, at your living expenses. And here you can find an accommodation at 300 euros, you already can find like a top accommodation, and you can imagine that you get like 150 euros, I mean, from the French government. And I'm saying that, but probably it happens the same if you want to study, you know, French in, and you go to the tourism office here, you will definitely find like an associations providing extra French for, you know, foreigners. So that's type of activities that here you find.
Mm-hmm. To go back to the services we can offer we cannot offer, we do offer is of course the career, because as I always say, students, when they try to find the right education, actually it's just a way of getting to the final goal, and the final goal is the career, of course. So what is the best school or university that can give you this way of getting to your goal? This is why we have a dedicated service. Of course, that's what you could expect from a business school at our level. But I just maybe wanted to stress that out to make people feel comfortable. We have each week at least one professional event taking place within the school. So it can be a professional conference. It can be we have what we call the Talent Booster Camp, which is basically a fair. Like 60, I think it's 50 to 60 companies come to BSB. So now we have to delocate it because there are too many companies. They just come here to recruit our students just for internships, for jobs, or apprenticeship, as we say. So we really try to put all the people into contact, the companies, the alumni, the current students, and we have a lot of job datings. We have specialized coaches who will help you. For example, I don't know, if you feel like you need help to build a good resume. Building a good resume is not easy, right? When you start. So if you feel like your resume isn't quite good, it isn't catchy, you don't get much responses from employers, then you can take as much appointments as you want with our coaches, and they will help you with that. So of course we organize collective sessions and individual sessions for everyone to get as much information as you want. We really see ourselves on this as a toolbox. So we will offer everything you can think of to help you with your career. And actually we just believe that you need to come and pick it. We won't push it to all the students, because we believe everyone is different and not everyone will need the same thing. So yeah, the screenshot of the computer is just to show you that we have a dedicated website with all the companies, the description of the former students, so the alumni we have at BSB that already work there, if you want to take contact with them or anything, the offers, the events and the appointments you can take, as I mentioned.
I would say this is really like the difference between like a normal university in France and the business school in France. Is the strong link that we have with the the corporate and the private environment, and it's something that we work every day. So and this is why that like generally students, if they want to study business, they prefer to to come in a business school.
Sure. Actually, just maybe because Michelangelo mentioned it earlier, we have a little bit around 3,000 students at our school. We have currently 12,000 offers for internships. So that doesn't mean that you have 4 offers per student. If you could do a quick division, that just means that we have good relations with the corporate world. Of course, during COVID, this is a little bit particular. So. But usually we have no problem with that. We have a lot of offers, a lot of opportunities. The goal is for us to help you reach this.
Yeah, and the idea that like during your studies you will have, and Camille, for instance, she studied like 5 years at BSB, and she did the bachelor and the master Grande École. You have probably done how many internships? 4?
So
5?
I did. Actually, I did 4 Well, the global idea of BSB is at the end of each year you do an internship, because we want you to put into practice what you learned. So I did 4. I spent 5 years here, so I did 4 internships. But at the end of the last year, I did what we call an apprenticeship. So I spent 1 year doing a part-time job in a company to get more experience.
Yeah. So this is with the dynamics we try to have in terms of classes and
also the goal is when you go out of BSB, when you are graduated, you will make a difference in your resume. Why? Because you already have experience. Comparing to other students who will have 0 experience of the corporate world, you will have at least around a minimum, I think, is 7 months of experience. So at least you have some ideas of how to behave in a company, how to work in a team, or if you want to are more autonomous, all these things.
Much probably are those work opportunities which is provided for the internships are paid, right?
Yeah, so in France, internships are paid if they are over 2 months.
Minimum wage for these kind of jobs.
So it's not a minimum wage, it's just an internship remuneration. I don't know how to translate it properly in English, but of course you will have a kind of salary which is a little bit under 600 euros per month. So this is the minimum, but companies, if you, for example, find a high-level internship in finance, it's very usual that it's over 1,000 euros per month just for the internship. Because it really depends, but that's the minimum. It's I think 580 euros. I should double check that because I'm not sure of the exact, but that's the idea.
I believe they will be able to work as part-time while they are studying in Burgundy, right?
Exactly. So as an international student, you have the right to work at maximum of 25 hours a week.
Yes.
I would really maybe be honest and say that if you want to work in France, you will eventually need to speak French, even if you want to find a part-time job. I did it myself throughout the 5 years of study. I had part-time jobs, and it's challenging because the studies are demanding. So you need to find your a good balance, I'd say. Yeah.
But that probably comparing other destinations on top of the tuition fees, and we will probably dive into like the price, but
yes.
I mean the range is between like 7,500 and 14,000 is the 1 year Master of Science, the most expensive, not considered the MBA, but let's say graduate is 7,500 and the Master of Science is 11,000, and we don't considering the scholarships we have. I mean, living expenses, you can really have like a decent life with like 600, 700 euros, honestly. And this is the budget that also French students, they have when they come to Burgundy, which means that, of course, I mean, if you need an extra job, fine, but so you can, I mean, you can pay your monthly expenses, like considering like this type of budget.
Are they using some of those hours which is provided for part-time while they are doing their internships, or you exclude the time for the internships?
No. The part-time job is to be done during, like, when you have courses, okay, like throughout the year. The internship is done each year at the end of the academic part. So during summertime, basically, if I want to make it clear.
Well, summertime can be like, generally the courses, they terminate at May, no? May. Yeah.
It depends on the duration of the internship.
But generally can be June, July. So then you decide the length of the industry, or if you want, you can spend like all summer like doing the internship if you feel to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we'll go to more in depth into this program, which is the one we wanted to present today.
Yeah, I mean, we also have a bachelor program. If some of you are interested on bachelor, we will leave a slot at the end of the presentation. You can ask like as much questions as we want, but the idea was like focusing on graduate programs, because we as far as I know, the participants are more interested in graduate programs. So this is why, I mean, today we'll focus on a couple of graduate programs that we consider that can be like also a good option for 2020, but we also give you like the overall portfolio of the school in terms of graduate programs.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So this program in France is called Master in Management. I know that may sound odd, because for you it would maybe look like an MSc program, but that's the real word, because as Michelangelo mentioned earlier, we are part of the Grande École membership, and this is why our master is called Master Grande École, which means high school master's degree. Which is the highest recognizable, I think nothing, it has the highest recognition really you can think of, either national-wise or international-wise. So yeah, it is available, of course, entirely in French or entirely in English. So I guess maybe some of you are French speakers, but it will be mostly in English.
I think you have like, you have kind of, you have French, several French high schools in Istanbul, probably in Ankara as well. So, I mean, Turkish students, they are in the habit also to go to international schools and yeah.
So this is a 2-year-long postgraduate program. We say it's to be custom built. I'll explain why. But the idea is to give you the best employability after, just like I mentioned earlier. So the idea, maybe just to give you some general observations of how it is built. So the first year the idea is to give you some fundamentals about management, business, marketing, finance, accounting, about everything that can happen in a company, how to lead a team, how to do HR, everything that is possible in a company. And the second year, the idea is to give you more, let's say, high added value specialization or double diplomas. We'll detail that. So maybe a little word about our pedagogy, because that's something important you need to know. We have a very different pedagogy compared to maybe other business schools. I invite you to go and check that. We only do face-to-face classes, so of course at the very moment, maybe we'll have some adaptations to do. We already digitalized all the courses of the past months, and we will probably make a few more courses at this fall in remotely.
See, but the idea again is if you are interested to come for 2020, and we have like some brave students connected. On top of that, we have dedicated scholarship, but we can talk about it later on. So the idea is try to give you the possibility to come at your earliest convenience, means when you feel secure. So here we have everything in place. Then we'll provide you different slots. The first slot is 20 September. If you feel comfortable, we welcome you in 20 September. The second slot can be 20 October. If you are ready on the 20th of October, you can, of course, follow the first month in remote and coming on classes. So we will give you like different alternatives, different options, and as long as you feel comfortable, and we do everything like in a very, let's say, secure way.
Is there any specific bachelor program degree completion is required to get acceptance for master grant Okul?
I mean, this is probably the what makes me super happy comparing my previous experience in Italy, because in Italy, I mean, of course, you need to have like a big relationship between what you have studied at the bachelor and what you're going to study at the master. And in France, very surprising, because more like, in this case, the Anglo-Saxon way, but I think it's only the business school. But basically, you can apply for any type of degree as long as recognized in Turkey. So I try to make myself even more clear. But if you have studied humanities or geology or history for 4 years in Turkey, you want to apply to the Master Grant École in Management, you are eligible to do it.
Even engineering, for example, right?
Say again?
Even engineering programs are...
Of course, engineering even better. So, of course, like technical profiles are always welcome, because they have like this, because then probably with like some managerial skills, you really become like a very strong profile for the job market. But definitely engineers are very welcome here. Then Camille will spend like little time on the entry requirements, but as long as you pass the application process, which is not difficult comparing like other business schools, I think you can you can be eligible.
Yeah. So
How
maybe
are you rating the student applications? For example, what if I graduate from engineering programs in Turkey and study for master grant programs? I finish all my credits about engineering, maybe in something else. So what is the evaluation process? What we are looking for? Is there any specific?
Okay, so maybe I'll jump to that.
As far as I know, I mean, because Camille knows better than me, it's 3 steps. Let's say 3. Let's say you have the.
Okay, maybe I'll just go back to maybe the entrance requirements, so that because we don't. Okay, so about the academics. So yeah, you just need to have a bachelor's degree. So engineering, any type. As I said, because the first year will go back to all the fundamentals of management, you will be able to catch up even if you didn't learn it already. So this is the good point. Maybe just a word about language, because that's just something I want. So we are currently speaking English. As I said, the program is entirely English taught. Due to the current situation, for September 2020 intake, we do not require any English test anymore. Usually we do, of course, because we really need to make sure that the student will be able to follow the classes easily. Of course, the students will improve themselves throughout the years, but we want to make sure the students will be comfortable. And the language levels are now tested during the interview. So maybe I'll jump the content of the program and explain you how to apply, because that was the question. So we have 4 steps, but 3 of them are really about the application. So how do you want to apply? If you want to apply, it's an online application form. That's the first thing to know. Of course, you can do it at home. We have a 100 euros application fee, but I think we mentioned.
No, I think we can waive it, and so you can apply directly like through Academix. We already sent like a tutorial in order to apply. I mean, is application forms of universities looks like pretty much all the same. So you have to fill up the form. You can get in and get out, like to finish your application. So it's not as user friendly as I wish to, but I think you can easily fill it up. And then is the application form. Then you have to upload a few documents.
So attachments, so this is very classic, maybe one ID picture, a copy of your passport, your resume, motivational letter, your transcripts, the last diploma you obtained, very usual documents the schools and universities can require.
How long does it take to finalize everything to get the acceptance letter?
So yeah, so once you've done all this, so of course, if you come from Academix, as we say, we waive the application fee. There is one step, which is the online logical test. So this...
First you have the interview, or no?
Comment?
T'as pas d'interview avant?
No. So at the same time,
no, exactly.
You have the...
I'm learning as well, that's why.
So you have the online logical test and the motivational interview that I mentioned earlier, because that's when the teachers will check if the English is good and if...
Because the motivational interview is done through an app in remote. So you can prepare your interview. You do this interview. It's like
you can train
your interview, and then you and then it's like one of the, let's say, two big steps, but then is it's an oral interview, and then is the test.
So there is no order. So we will send you the links to do both, no matter what order you do them in. So if you want to do the interview first, you do first. If you want to do it second, you do it second. About the online logical test, so these are very classic logical questions that any student, regardless of what studies they have done before, of this age and this academic level, are able to fill in. Of course, you can train for each part in advance. So this is really, well, I say it's really doable. It's really, it only needs a little bit of method. So I would really advise people to train.
Yeah, I call it a light GMAT, but it's really a light GMAT. So yeah. The idea is asking questions like focus on reasoning, but it's not, of course, a GMAT exam. You probably need what, 50% of the.
Actually, the idea in France, you know, grades are out of 20. You will need 12 out of 20.
So if you pass exactly 60% of the questions, so for us you are in.
Exactly. So then, once you've done all this, you receive your acceptance letter because you have succeeded, of course. And so we will send an email, and the letter will be sent also directly.
We are pretty fast in processing applications. As soon as you complete your applications, then we can close it like in probably now even 1 week, 10 days. So it not takes too much. Probably you just need probably like a week to try like the test, but I don't see like major issues, honestly.
No, it's really quick. Actually, it really depends. If you do the test quickly, of course we'll receive it as soon as we can, and we'll be as fast as possible. We let between 3 and 4 days for people to do their tests, but of course if they finish it earlier, it's perfectly fine.
That's fine.
So once all this is done, as I said, you will receive the pre-acceptation letter. It will be a final acceptance letter once the student has paid the deposit, because we require a deposit. We haven't talked so far about the tuition fees because it was a little bit before for me, but that's fine. So just for you to know, the tuition fees for the Master in Management are 11,000 euros per year, all included. I will come back to that.
If I can make a point here is of course, like considering the current situation, we really wanted to give let's say to brave students, also to students, they probably need a financial support, because we can imagine that, for some of you and also for us, that we've been touched by the COVID-19, so the economic situation might not be flourishing for everybody in this period. So the idea was trying to support you with scholarship with 30% and 15%. We said at the very beginning, one scholarship. I will see if I can have like a little bit more scholarship dedicated to Turkish students. I don't want to promise something that I haven't had in my pocket, but I think that I probably can increase it a bit, the number of 30% scholarships if we receive applications from now to like the 16th of July. Of course, I mean, the time is short, but the idea is try to support students that really want to invest after like this negative period in the education. We will try to support them in with this funding. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go a little bit quicker on the rest because we are already late. So as I mentioned, maybe I'll go back and explain that. About the tuition fees, so 11,000 euros per year. So it is 2 years. So of course, you'll need to schedule the 2 years. We will require a deposit, as I mentioned. So the deposit, of course, is deducted from the total. Of course, the deposit is 4,000 euros. It is refundable in case of any big problem, like you do not get your diploma, you do not get your visa. We don't want to make it too rigid, but we just need to make sure to know how many students will come at the intake, because as I mentioned, we only have face-to-face classes with maximum 40 students per class. So it's very small groups. We need to schedule it in advance.
Very quick question regarding the payment. For example,
yes,
they need to finalize all the payment to get the visa letter, right? So they need to complete all the 11,000 to get the visa acceptance.
The 4,000 euros deposit is to be done in order before doing the visa. Yes.
Okay, and then when they need to finalize all the fees, which is 11,000.
Okay, so sure, that's a good question. When the student arrives in September, so they will spend a little bit less than a month here, and the rest of the tuition fees are divided in 2 parts. The first part is to be paid in late September, and the other part is to be paid in February.
Mm-hmm.
It's in 3 parts, if I...
So 4,000 plus 3,500 plus 3,500, I guess.
2,500.
2,500.
Yes,
Yes.
okay, yes, that's right, exactly.
It's going to be kind of three installments, I guess, approximately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. That's like 3 installments. So about the scholarships, so we have 2 scholarships dedicated to the Turkish students for this intake, so 2020 intake. One is 30% reduction of the tuition fees of the first year of study. And the second one is 15% deduction. So just, these are merit-based scholarships. So it is based on the results of the logical test we mentioned earlier. Of course, this is a good opportunity. I think if you really want to know where you could apply, I think this is a good opportunity, and we will try our best to do even better.
For this intake, exactly.
Yes. So I think maybe we'll jump to this. Just to go back to this part, once you have secured the deposit, you can take, of course, your campus friends and visa appointment with the final acceptance letters you will have so far. Mm. And then I think
Campus France, they already reopened, so as far as we know, so you can already start like connecting with Campus France to book your your slot, and generally they do like a light, let's say, interview with students, and then also to give the approval that you are a genuine student, and then they allow like the embassy to release the visa. But the process is pretty smooth. Mm-hmm. We are there to support you, so if you have like any problems or any issues as academics, so we will be here to to support you.
Exactly. So yeah. So that's it. Sorry to it took longer than we thought. If you have any question in the chat box, we would be happy to answer, of course.
And of course, thanks for your time and patience. So have the time to think about it. So we are here to any time. Can be right now to reply to your questions. Can be tomorrow, next week. Of course, for this year, I mean it's very tight, but in a way I'm very happy to be here and offer this opportunity, because probably is really now like the right time to invest in your future. Not wait an extra year. Of course, I know that we have to take a little risk, because after what we have seen, it can be a little bit frightening. But in a way, I can guarantee that we, in terms of security, we will do everything possible. And the idea of investing like your next year in studying and being prepared like in 1 or 2 year times for the job market could be like a great decision. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much. Thank you for having managed all this webinar, and we are here to reply to all your questions.
It is always a pleasure to have you, and we really thank you very much for your dedicated and precious time for us today. Hopefully it was really nice and helpful for all the participants. I did my best to ask all prospective questions that may come from the participants, and I'm just checking the chat board whether they have any question for you now.
I think, yeah, all included, but yeah, so yeah, maybe just to a small sentence about that. When I said the tuition fees are all included, often in US, UK, Australia, the tuition fees are just for the tuition. So of course, we do not include the accommodation in that, but we will not ask you for an additional, like when you come here, additional fees for buying books or access to the gym or anything like that. I think just a very small fee can be asked if you want to take an artistic activity like 20 euros, which is really just very low, but we will not ask for a big amount of additional money when you come. Just about the living expenses, because I don't think I mentioned it. The living expenses, we usually say that you need to schedule is 750 euros per month, accommodation included. So of course you want to live in a huge mansion, it will be higher. But yeah, that's in average, that's what we say you will need.
Thank you very much. Arkadaşlar, sanırsam sunumumuzun sonuna doğru geliyoruz. Michelangelo'nun sunumda da bahsettiği, Camille'nin de bahsettiği üzere 16 Temmuz'a kadar yapılacak başvurularda %30'luk bir burs imkanı var. Başvuruyu göndermiş olmanız gerekiyor. Yeterli. %30'luk bir scholarship ile birlikte program ücreti 3.300 euro, yani 7.700 euroya kadar düşme imkanı var yıllık, bir yıllık için.
Yeah, there is another question that is very interesting. After graduation from master programs, will you provide work visa? I mean, France, like Italy, so the regulation in terms of moving from a student visa to a working visa, I wouldn't say is blurry, but it's not very clear in a way that, like for instance in Canada, that if you go to study in Canada, they give you like extra 2 years, to stay in the country and looking for a job. So generally in Europe, so you can extend your student visa for another 6 months, probably 1 year. So generally when you get in Europe, when you get to Europe as a student, it's difficult that someone is going to kick you out. Of course, the idea is try to find a job within like this period of time. Can be 6, maximum 1 year. Of course, if you stay too long without, changing your student visa in a working visa, might be a problem. But this is why, I mean, we push all our students like to have a contract after like 3 or 4 months. So the idea is, yes, you can stay here and change your student visa in working visa if you have a job offer.
Sure. If you have a job offer, of course, I would say it's automatic, but you will get in any way the work visa. Yeah, but maybe, I mean, someone had another question in addition to this.
Yes.
Is it only valid in France or in other EU countries included? So even if you're in EU, a country is a country, so you get the visa for the country, whatever country this is. But if you are in Schengen space, you can travel to any other Schengen country if you go there for less than 3 months. For example, if you are in France, you have even a student visa, you want to go 2 months in Germany, it's fine.
Maybe I can explain these questions in Turkish if you do not mind.
Sure, okay, sure.
Arkadaşlar sorular güzel, ikisi de Elif Hanım ve Ali Bey'den gelen. Birinci soruyla alakalı, graduation'dan sonra Avrupa ülkeleri çok cömert değiller. Michelangelo'nun da bahsettiği gibi genellikle bir yıla kadar sıkıntı olmuyor öğrenci vizenizi iş vizesine çevirmenizde. Genellikle bu job offer almanızla alakalı bir şey oluyor. Bu birazcık spesifik case by case verilen bir şey. Başvurduğunuz yerin sizi işe alması gerekiyor ki Avrupa'daki genellikle işverenlerde de şu isteniyor. Neden bu kişiyi Schengen ya da Avrupa Birliği'nden değil de yurt dışından getiriyorsun şeklinde bir bariyerle karşılaşıyorlar. Ama sizin profiliniz çok iyiyse işvereniniz zaten iş ilanını size göre açıyor. Yani aslında bir nevi çaktırmadan sizin spoilerınızı vererek bir iş ilanı açıyor. Mesela diyor ki işte Türkçe bilsin diyor veya siz ne bileyim Photoshop biliyorsunuzdur, Photoshop bilsin diyor. Öyle bir profil yaratıyor ki, öyle bir ilan açıyor ki aslında sizi kastediyor. Fakat bunu home office'e söylemiyor. Bir nevi şu cevaptan kurtulmuş oluyor. Ben bu kişiyi Avrupa Birliği'nde bulamadım. Öyle bir spesifik profil oluyor ki sizin başvurunuzda sizi kendi bünyesine kattığında bununla alakalı legal bir problem olmuyor ve kalış sürenizi uzatabiliyorsunuz. Ama genellikle Schengen alanında bu 1 yıldır. Bir tek Almanya'da bildiğim kadarıyla 18 aya kadar uzuyor. Yeni yakın vadede İngiltere bunu 2 yıl olarak uzattı. Bunun dışında Kanada keza 2 ya da 3 yıl verebiliyor programa göre. Ama Avrupa'da genellikle bunu 1 yıl olarak düşünebilirsiniz. Ama tabii ki job offer alırsanız mezun olmadan keza sunumda da bahsettiler. 3-4 ay öncesinde zaten iş bulmanız olmanız ya da offer'ı almış olmanız faydalı. Offer'da da genellikle work permit basarken baktıkları çok da fazla spesifik bir kriterya yok. Genellikle bir yıllık bir gross bir salary cap belirleniyor. Bunun altında olmamanız isteniyor. Zaten işveren sizi gerçekten de istiyorsa size vereceği salary bu legal olarak öngörülen şeyin altında olmadığından da çok problem yaşamıyorsunuz. Ama Elif Hanım'ın sorusunu yaklaşık 1 yıl olarak düşünebiliriz. Ali Bey'in sorusunun içinde bunu deneyimlemiş birisi olarak söylemem gerekirse nerede işe edildiyse çalışma izniniz seyahat için gidebilirsiniz, sıkıntı yok. Zaten Schengen alanınızda sizin bir biyometrik kartınız olacağı için seyahat etmenize, kalışınıza hiçbir problem yok. Ama sizin tax'iniz yani verginiz çalıştığınız ülke üzerinden verilmesi gerektiği için sizin polis registration'ınız bulunduğunuz ülkede olduğu için işvereninizin o ülkede bir branşı varsa çok bir sıkıntı olmuyor. Mesela benim çalıştığım ülkenin branşı Viyana'da da vardı. Ben Viyana'da farklı bir ofiste çalışabiliyordum. Ama atıyorum İtalya'daki bir şirketten, İtalya'daki konsolosluk nezdinde alacağınız bir work permit'i Almanya'da kullanmak isterseniz bu bir problem olabilir. I was just taken too long.
Yes, Selçuk, I can see that you are super well prepared in working permit visa.
Because I get this experience in my past, that's why I was get this already. Sorularınız var mı arkadaşlar? Başka sorularınız varsa alabiliriz. Rica ederim. Zaten etkinlik sonrasında size dönüş yapılacak. Zaten hemen baktığımda sanırsam Elif Hanım Kadıköy olarak form doldurmuş. Ali Bey de keza Ataşehir olarak form doldurduğunu görüyorum. Bu ofislerimiz size zaten etkinlik sonrasında ulaşarak ekstra sorunuz olursa soracaklar. Sanırsam başka da sorumuz yok. Michelangelo and Camille, we really thank you very much for your time. It was
Teşekkürler.
I congratulate you for your new role. Hopefully, I believe that I'm sure that you will make it great again, like you did in past for us. And I wish you good luck for you in your new role.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi to everyone, and we really hope to come to visit you soon.
Yeah, sure. Or you come to visit us.
Exactly.
Either way.
Hopefully, very soon. Hopefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. You take care.
Bye.